A telehandler is a type of powered industrial truck with a variable length extendable boom. And on the end of that boom are forks or maybe some other lifting attachments. We're only concerned about the fork attachment at the end of the boom for this unit, for our discussion. Telehandlers are a very useful tool in a lot of different industries because it allows working with heavy loads and setting those heavy loads at heights of 40 feet and above. We can also reach out long distances with our loads. And every year you see more and more companies moving away from conventional forklifts and buying new telehandlers. I think it's the most useful of all the powered industrial trucks that are available in the United States. Now, one other thing unique about telehandlers is the way we determine the maximum lift capacity. On conventional forklifts, there's an ID plate. We just go to that ID plate. It will tell us what our maximum load capacity is based upon the load center and the lift height that we're using. With telehandlers, it's more like a crane. You have to go to a chart to determine what the maximum lifting capacity is going to be in different lifting configurations. There's not just 2 or 3 possible lifting configurations with a telehandler. There's hundreds of possible configurations with a telehandler. With that type of versatility, you have to have a chart for determining the lift capacities. Understanding charts, I think it's an important skill for safety managers, being able to understand and use load charts to determine lifting capacity. When we're done with this unit, you're not going to be an expert, but you will at least have seen a load chart and start developing an understanding of how to use load charts. Once you're working as a safety manager, you will be around, and if you're around these types of machines, you will become acquainted with those specific machines and those charts, and you will have to learn how to read those charts as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at the chart for this particular model of forklift. We're dealing just with the SkyTrak 8042. Different models of SkyTraks will have different charts. Different manufacturers will have different charts. We're just working with the SkyTrak 8042 charts. The load chart will tell us how much we can lift based on the angle of the boom, how far the boom is extended, what the reach is with the boom, and how high we're lifting the load. These 4 variables determine the capacity of the machine. We can also use the chart to identify the maximum lift heights or horizontal reach distances with a particular load weight. Now let's say we have 5,000 pounds and we want to know, well, how high can we lift that 5,000 pound load? How far out can we reach with that 5,000 pound load? We can use the charts to help determine what the limitations are going to be with a particular load weight. And like I've already said, there are different charts for different machines, but most of them look very similar to one another, and they're used in basically the same way. Let's take even a closer look at this particular chart. Let's break it down into the different components. In yellow, we have the boom angle. That's the angle of the boom relative to the ground. And the boom angle for this machine can range from 68 degrees maximum all the way down to -4 degrees as a minimum boom angle. A lot of versatility. Again, it's -4 to 68 and anywhere between those two extremes. Our boom can be set up anywhere within that range, which makes this a very versatile machine. The reach of the machine, the scale goes from 0 feet to 32 feet. You don't have that much reach, even though the scale goes out to 32 feet. The maximum reach with this particular machine is going to be about 27 feet. About 27 feet is going to be the maximum reach. But again, even 0 to 27 feet, that also makes this a very versatile machine. Anywhere within this range is a workable range for this machine, is a workable reach distance for this machine. The lift height is indicated by the scale highlighted in green over on the left. It ranges from, again, the scale goes from -8 to 44, but the actual range of lift heights is going to go from about -3 feet up to 42 feet. And that's why it's an 80-42, because of that 42-foot maximum lift height. The boom extension zones, there are 5 numbers here, but there are actually 6 zones. There's 1 zone, 2 zone, 3 zone, 4 zone, 5 zone, and zone 6. 6 extension zones. And remember, all these different variables affect the load capacities, which are highlighted and circled here in red. These are the different load capacity zones for this machine. Load capacities can range from 2,200 pounds maximum in this zone all the way up to 8,000 pounds capacity in this zone. And you'll notice that the closer you are to the machine, the less the reach is, the greater the lifting capacity. The further you reach out with that boom, the less lifting capacity you're going to have. Now, these capacity zones are indicated by different shading within the chart. All of this orange here that I can't draw a straight line with this thing, so bear with me. All of this orange, I'll just do it like this, X's. That's in the 2,200 pound zone. Then we have the 3,000 pound zone. That's everything in this tan coloration. Then we have the 4,000 pound zone. Then we're back to orange shading. Any configuration that falls within this zone, you can lift up to 4,000 pounds. Then we have the 6,000 pound capacity zone, which anything including this tan area up here, if the boom extension, reach, lift height falls into this zone, the maximum lifting capacity is going to be 6,000 pounds. Again, as we get closer to the machine, we get into the zone here where we can lift up to 8,000 pounds. Now, the boom angle and the extension, that's very important for the operators to keep track of that when they're in the cab of the equipment. And the way these things are designed, there will be a boom angle indicator and a reach indicator within view of the operator at all times, so they can keep tabs on how far they've reached out, how much boom they've got, and so on, because that is important. If they try to reach out too far with too heavy of a load, that can cause the machine to tip over. All right, let's look at some examples. If you're not clear on anything yet, hopefully the examples will help you out. Our first example, you are lifting a load to a height of 20 feet. What is the load capacity? Also, we want to know what is your boom angle and boom extension zone. And we're working at a reach of 16 feet. So we have a lift height of 20 feet and we're reaching out to 16 feet. What's our capacity, boom angle, and boom extension zone that we're going to be in? And most important here is that capacity. First thing we need to do using this chart is identify the line representing a 20-foot lift height. And I'm using lines superimposed on the chart to help highlight that line. You know, we got a purple line superimposed on the chart representing a 20-foot lift height. Now we need to find the vertical line representing a 16-foot reach. Here's 16 foot, then we got this green line superimposed on the chart. Now, where these two lines intersect, this is the information we're interested in. Where those two lines intersect, that's going to tell us what our capacity is, what our boom angle is, and what boom extension zone we're in. where these intersect. They intersect in the 4,000 pound capacity zone. So with this lift height and reach, we can lift 4,000 pounds. Also at this lift height and reach, our boom angle is going to be about 33 degrees. And we are in boom extension zone 4 for this pick. That answers all of our questions. But again, that capacity for this question is the most important answer we're looking for. How much can we safely lift if we need to lift it up to a height of 20 feet? And if we need to reach 16 feet? Now, one thing about reach, if we could get closer than 16 feet, that's going to improve our lifting capacity. But there are some circumstances in the workplace where the closest you can get will be 16 feet. Or maybe the closest you can get is 24 feet. That's going to limit your capacity. Longer reach, less capacity. All right, let's look at another example. You need to place a 5,500 pound load to a height of 34 feet. Your reach is 10 feet. Can you make the lift, or do you need to get a bigger machine? So we already know our load weight. We just need to see if our machine can handle that load weight with the configuration that we're shooting for. Again, we're shooting for a height of 34 feet and a reach of 10 feet. Can we make the lift? Find the line representing 24 feet, or I'm sorry, 34 feet. There it is in purple. Find the line representing a 10-foot reach. There it is in green. Again, where those two intersect, that tells us what our lift capacity is going to be. And it looks like we're right there in that 6,000 pound capacity zone. So we're good to go. We can lift that 5,500 pound load up to a height of 34 feet with a reach of 10 feet. Now, one thing we need to be aware of, though, if our reach extends beyond 10 feet, we're going to lose capacity. Or if we try to go to actually with this particular configuration, you've got a lot of wiggle room. You can go all the way up to a height of about 38 feet, it looks like. And you can go all the way out to a reach of about 13 feet. And still be in good shape. Let's look at another example. Okay. We have an operator working with a 5,500 pound load. What is the maximum safe reach and lift height with this load? And we kind of answered this question with my comments I made previously. The operator needs to stay in the 6,000 pound capacity zone. There's not a 5,500 pound capacity zone. It goes 4,000, 6,000, 8,000. We need to be in that 6,000 pound zone to lift this 5,500 pound load. So find the maximum reach which keeps the lift in the 6,000 pound zone. That's going to be right at 13 feet. We can reach out to 13 feet, and regardless of boom height, we're still going to be in a safe position as far as handling the 5,500 pound load. Okay. Now we need to find the maximum lift height at that reach that we can go out to. And the maximum lift height at a 13-foot reach that we can go to is 36 feet. And at 36 feet and 13-foot reach, we're still in the 6,000 pound capacity zone. If we go beyond 13 feet, we could tip the machine. If we try to go higher than 36 feet, we could tip the machine. Now remember, any of this white area out here, any of the white outside of these shaded areas, that means no go. You can't lift in those areas. The machine has no capacity in those areas. And If you have no capacity and you try to push the machine into those no capacity areas, that's when the risk of a tip over is at its greatest. That's when you're really pushing the limits of the machine, and you're at risk of tipping the machine or having another incident occur with the machine. Again, our maximum reach with 5,500 pounds, 13 feet. Maximum height with 5,500 pounds is 36 feet. Again, it all goes back to that intersection point where those two, where the horizontal line and the vertical line intersect. Now, when you're working with these charts, you're not going to be able to draw lines on the charts. A lot of times the charts are mounted inside the cab of the equipment. That's where they should be, at least. Again, you're not necessarily going to be able to draw on them. But one thing that I've found that's a real handy tool for reading these charts is a couple of straight edges. You have one straight edge to identify the horizontal line, and then one straight edge that is perpendicular to represent the vertical line. Again, two rulers or two pieces of paper can be used as a straight edge to help identify that intersection point. All right, another example. An operator needs to move a load from a height of 17 feet to the ground. So sometimes you're not lifting from the ground up to a certain height. Maybe you need to take a load that's already up high and put it on the ground. The charts work either way. But with this situation, we want to know the load capacity and boom angle and all this other information if our reach is at 12 feet. So we got a 17-foot lift height, 12-foot reach. There's our line representing the 17-foot lift height. And there's the line representing our 12-foot reach. Where those two intersect, right there in the 6,000-pound capacity zone, we can lift up to 6,000 pounds with that configuration. Again, we're in zone 3, and our boom angle's going to be in the neighborhood of about 32 degrees. Maybe 33, 34 degrees. But again, the capacities are most important number there. That's how heavy we can go in that particular configuration. Another sidebar that I want to mention, and what makes these machines tricky. That extendable boom, you can think you're safe. You think, well, I'm only going to 17 feet with a 12-foot reach. But let's say you get up there and decide, oh, I want to extend on out to, I want to go on up to like a 24-foot reach. I mean, with the extendable boom, it allows you to do that. You can change on the fly. It's not like you're programming in a computer and it's going to stop at 17 feet. The operator can go out to a greater height if they decide to, for whatever reason. But let's say they decide they need to go higher than 17 feet. Let's say they want to go all the way up to 32 feet. Well, at 32 feet, they don't have any capacity. They're outside of the chart at 32 feet. Oh, at this reach. Actually, they're still good at 32 feet. Let's say they want to extend out to 40 feet. They can't do that at this reach. So again, that's just something to put on the back burner when you're managing these machines. That operator needs to understand that every move he makes extending that boom will affect the load capacity of the machine. Another example. An operator needs to lift a load to a height of 32 feet. They are not able to get closer than a 20-foot reach. Can they make the lift? And notice there's no anticipated load weight here. They just want to know, or we just want to know, can they make any kind of lift at that configuration? Again, the 32-foot height and a 20-foot reach. Okay, horizontal line for the height, vertical line for the reach. Where those two intersect, there is no capacity. It's outside the shaded areas. they will not be able to make the lift. I mean, they're not going to be able to lift anything. They can't lift a lunchbox up to that height because it's outside of the machine's capabilities. That particular configuration is outside the machine's capabilities. Last example. An operator needs to lift a load to a height of 12 feet. What is the load capacity, boom angle, and boom extension zone with a reach of 25 feet? So they're keeping the load low, but they're reaching out a greater distance than what we've seen so far. But it's the same process to figure out what the capacity is. Find the 12-foot line. Find the 25-foot vertical line for reach. Where those two intersect, they're in the 2,200-pound capacity zone. They can make the lift, but they're only going to be able to lift up to 2,200 pounds. And their boom angle is going to be at about 11 degrees. At about 11 degrees. Whoop. This pen is so finicky. There we go. About 11 degrees. I won't try to write it in. That doesn't seem to work. And I'm in zone 6. Again, there's 5 numbers over here, but there's actually 6 zones. Number 1 through 5. Important number again is the capacity, 2,200 pounds. All right, some final notes about capacity with telehandlers, and also applies to other forklifts as well. Don't lift if you don't have the capacity. Don't try to make a lift if the machine is overloaded. If you make a lift and you're overloaded, that increases the chance of a tip over or a structural failure of the machine. And there's a reason for these limits. Don't exceed those limits. Don't allow operators to exceed the limits, and make sure they understand the limitations, why those limits exist. If you don't have enough capacity for what you're trying to do, you do have options. Maybe you can bring in a bigger machine, or maybe you break down the load. Maybe it's a pallet of bricks and you don't have enough capacity to lift all the bricks at one time. Well, you remove half of the bricks and you make the lift in 2 separate operations, 2 separate executions. So there are options if you're overloaded. And I include this because a lot of the old-timey operators have this idea that you're safe until you start tipping. Tipping is not a safe way to gauge the capacity of a forklift or any type of lifting machine. If you are to the tipping point, you have already exceeded the working load limit of the machine. And when you're at the tipping point, there's a very good chance that the machine will continue tipping and you're not going to be able to stop it. Again, that sounds like a common sense, no-brainer thing, but you will run into older equipment operators that firmly believe that is how you determine the lifting capacity. It's a by the seat rule. You're lifting by the seat of your pants. When you feel it starting to get light in the seat of your pants, that's when you stop. But there will be operators that you encounter that you have to retrain away from that mindset. And honestly, some of them you'll never get them completely retrained. If they've been doing it 20, 30, 40 years, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks in those situations with those types of personnel. Again, I've already hit upon this pretty extensively. Every model of machine will have different charts and different capacities. You can't take one chart and use it with another machine. Keep that in mind. Now, some machines, and we're not getting into this with forklifts, we'll talk a little bit about it when we talk about cranes, but machines can have different types of accessories, different types of grapple hooks or buckets or lifting mechanisms. Those accessories will affect capacity of the machine. You need to keep that in mind if you have operators using a machine with certain types of accessories. And like I say, that I'll really illustrate that when we talk about lifting with mobile cranes. Outriggers Stabilizers is one example of an accessory that affect capacity. These affect outriggers or stabilizers affect capacity in a positive way, and you're really only going to see this type of accessory with telehandlers. You don't see outrigger stabilizers on conventional forklifts, but outriggers, stabilizers, they increase the machine's capacity. Also, another example would be lifting extensions. Lifting extensions reduce the machine's capacity. All right, well, hopefully you have a better understanding of how to read a telehandler load chart. If not, give me a call. If you have any questions, let me know. There will be some practice problems where you'll get some additional practice reading telehandler load charts. All right, have a good day, and I will see you in class.